Okay, guys. Hi, nice to see you. Can you all hear me and see me fine? Yeah, all good?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get started, just a few reminders. So we're past the deadlines for the game video assignment, the storytelling video assignment, and the camp song video assignment. So if you haven't submitted your videos, please do so at the end, after the end of the session today. That is because we're past the deadline. Right after the session, we're going to start doing our final evaluation. Okay, so we need all of the videos in order to be able to evaluate your online training as a whole. What else? Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Okay. So tomorrow we'll also send out all the emails to successful and unsuccessful candidates. So you expect an email from us with the results of your online training. Of course, in that email we'll also remind you of how to get to Florence, to the Progetto, the live training site. And as a reminder, please read the attachment to your job offer email. All the informations are there, including the check-in time, which should be between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., okay, at the Progetto. So just to avoid any confusion, the last bus to Florence train station is at 7 p.m., but the check-in time ideally would be between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. So the earlier bus you can get, the better it is. So you can get there on time for our welcome speech and the first part of our training. In case, of course, you get stuck, or your flight is late, or your train is late, or whatever, there are still buses up until 7 p.m. But we'll remind you of all of that in a separate, like in an email that we send tomorrow. Okay. Okay, let's do a quick name call before we start. Okay, so is Amy Byrne here?
Hi.
Thank you. And Alyssa?
Hello, I'm here.
Hi. Amber? Okay, Andrew. Yes, I saw Andrew. Anna McGuire.
Hiya.
Hi. And Asher. Okay, no Asher yet. And Audrey.
Hello.
Hi. And Brett Bonds. And Cameron. I think I saw Cameron. Hi.
Yep.
And Carlos. So Carlos as well, I think. Yep. And Casey. Is Casey here?
I'm here.
Hi, thank you, Casey. And Daniela, I think I saw you.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. Darcy.
Hi.
Hi. And Ideen.
Yeah.
And Emily Cox. And Emma.
Right here. Hi.
Thank you. And Fiza.
Hi, I'm here.
Thank you. And Hannah Berry.
Hi, I'm
Hi,
here.
Hannah. Thanks. Harriet.
Hiya.
Hi. And James.
Hi, I'm here.
Thank you. And Jenna, I think I saw you there.
Hello.
Hi. And Jessica as well.
Hi.
Hi. Jing Yi.
Yep. Hi.
Hello. And Joel McDonald.
Yep, yep.
Hi, Joel. And Joel Shuroy.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Joel. Casey.
Hi.
Hi, Casey. And Katie Innes. Yep. Kayla. And Kadeen. Okay. And is Kutsi here? And Lauren, I think I saw Lauren.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi. Lexi.
Hello.
Hi, Lexi. Michaela.
Here.
Hi, Michaela. And Mara. No, Mara. Morialta.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi. And we have Marisa.
Hello.
Hi. Mia Doherty.
Hi.
Hi. And Nicole.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Nicole. And Olivia. Lolo. Is Lolo here? And Nortice. And Rebecca.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Rebecca. And Reese.
Hello.
Hello. Roisin.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Roisin. And Ruth. Sam McGrath.
I'm here.
Hi, Sam. And Sarah Ryan, I think I saw you.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Sarah. And Treasure.
Hi.
Hello, Treasure. Okay. Thank you, guys. Let's get started. So today we're going to talk about the first day at camp. That's super important. It's very important to know. I'm also traveling, so I can run my camera on today. Okay. Oh, Kuz is here. Fantastic. Let me just correct that. 1 second. Perfect. So why the first day is so important? And it's so important to know exactly what to do on the first day. First of all, because it's a very different day than any other days. That's the day where you really start things off. That's the day where you meet your students for the first time. Emily's here. And that's the day where, again, you're working at that school for the first time. So there's usually quite a lot of nerves involved on the first day. That's also why it's so important to know exactly what to do, because there is a set structure for the first day, especially, that you need to follow in order to ensure that you like a smooth sailing for the rest of camp. Okay, so I can stress this enough. It's super important that you know your first day schedule almost by heart. You really need to know what's coming next and what to do. That is why we dedicated a whole part of the red pages of your tutor pack to the first day routine and what to do on the first day. Also, it is super important. The first day is super important because that's when you establish your classroom management basics. Okay, so you see that many of the activities on the first day are aimed to cover all those bases, like, okay, moving kids from one place to the other, establish your basic classroom management, establish your authority with the kids through, of course, games in a fun way and activities. But it's super important that from day one, they know exactly that when you say something or when you do a certain thing, they need to respond a certain way. That is because we want to avoid you having to really chase the kids around and not being in control of your class. So we dedicate a big part of the first day on establishing the classroom management, okay? Giving you really that basis, covering those bases so that you can then proceed to your activities with a strong classroom management setup, okay? So these are the two main reasons it's so important. What we'll do now, since you had to read those pages for today, we'll do a quick quiz. Let me just post it now. Again, is in the coursework, in the quizzes section. I just assigned it. So you should see it right now. Okay, let's say 2 minutes for this one. It's just 5 questions, very quick. Okay, I'll see you in 2 minutes, guys. Thank you. Okay, guys, let's have a look at the answers, okay? So the first question was, how long before camp start you should be at school on the first day and on the second day? Does anybody wants to answer this one? Does anybody know? Sam?
Is it 1 hour the first day and then half an hour on the second day?
Yeah, perfect, Sam. Thank you. So it's 1 hour on the first day. On the first day, of course, you need more time to locate your material boxes, do all the prep. From the second day onwards, 30 minutes is fine. Okay, so thank you. Second question. What are the key aspects of the activities on the first, or the key aspects that the activities on the first day focus on? Who wants to answer this one? Audrey.
Establishing good classroom management and getting to know your group of students.
Fantastic. Perfect. Okay. Very, very good. And let's move on to the third question. What is the correct routine for the opening of camp once you have all of the students in a circle? Who wants to answer this one? Anybody?
I'll answer it.
All right.
The tutors should be spread out along the circle and introduce
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, and then after each tutor introduces themselves, they introduce summer camp, and then we
Good
run
camper,
good camper,
bad
bad
camper.
camp. Okay, yeah, is the number 2. Perfect. Thank you, Joel. Okay, the next question is, which of the following statements are correct? We have Casey.
The seniors don't take part in circle song time, and once a tutor has called all their students, they need to move to the allocated space.
Fantastic. Okay, so kids and junior class lists are called out first is not a correct statement because we call out seniors class list first. We want the seniors to be called out first so they can move to their allocated space and they don't do circles sometime. So even before circles sometime, we call out the seniors. And also the fourth one, tutors should only call out names marked in green on the class list. That's not correct either. You should call out all of the names on your class list. Names are marked in green if they have a student kids that you can give them, and are marked in red if they enrolled late. So in case there are no student kits for them, they should wait until the missing material arrives. But as a first name call, you should call out everybody on your class list. Thank you, Casey. Okay. What are the 3 possible roles a tutor might cover during the outdoor activities after lunch? Who wants to take this one? Come on, don't be shy. Audrey. Okay, let me just see. It's okay, Audrey. Don't worry. We'll just send you another link after the session. Who wants to answer this question? We have Casey.
So it's set up the game stations, tutor break, and be on patrol.
Exactly, those 3 things. So it's all going to make more sense once you see your camp summary. It's very simple, really. There is a rotation, a schedule for your lunch and after lunch activities. Some of you will set up game stations. Some of you will be on a break. Some of you will be on patrol. And then you basically switch around. Okay, so it's very simple. Thank you, Casey. Then we have which is the first camp song you should sing in the morning at camp, and which the last song at the end of the day? Who wants to answer this one? Marialta. Okay, same problem as Audrey. Okay, we'll sort it out later, don't worry. Okay, yeah, we have Daniela.
It's the bell song and the goodbye song.
Fantastic, thank you, Daniela. Yeah, the bell song. Yeah, first song in the morning is the bell song. Last song of the day is the goodbye song. Very last question. How are you supposed to complete your register? We have Jenna.
Yeah, well, only the tutors should complete it because you're the only one that's, seeing them. So.
Yeah, any other answers that you think can fit?
Sorry, I've actually forgotten the other answers. I know it says you shouldn't ask your camp director.
Yeah, definitely that. There is also one of the answers saying, write down the names of the students that are physically in your group on that day. So yes, only the tutor should complete the register. So you don't want the camp director to just start saying, oh, no, this one is here, this one is not here. You want to see it firsthand yourself and complete it yourself. Also, though, you don't want to refer to your class list, okay? The one you used for the name call in the morning. You actually want to know exactly who's physically in your class. That is because we use the register to see if somebody is there and shouldn't be there, or, if somebody is actually missing in case, they're entitled to any refunds or something like that. I don't know why there has been this issue with this quiz, but I'll post a new link in the chat, in the actual classroom chat, as soon as possible after we finish this bit of the session, so you can all basically retake the test. But what is important now is that we went through the answers together. Yeah, exactly. Gwendalina is also on it. Perfect. So before we really go through the first day routine, does anybody has any question? Anything that is not clear about the first day and what is written on the tutor pack? Okay, since we have a few more minutes before your next session with Sophie, let's just go through a few of the things. What do we have? Okay, a few of the things for the first day. Okay, so on the first day, very important, of course, that goes without saying, you get there 1 hour before camp starts and you're wearing your bell t-shirt, okay? Especially in the first day, it's important that you're wearing your uniform. Okay. The first thing you do is locate the material box, all right? So usually they store the material box somewhere safe. The camp director will show you where the material box is. Once you locate it, it's just a matter of opening the box and start going through the material provided. So you're going to have material that you're going to share with the other tutors at your camp. And also you're going to have your bell kits, so t-shirts, bags, and booklets for the students. So it's good practice, first of all, to divide amongst yourself the bell kits. How do you do that? Basically, you look at your class list and you see that each kid has a t-shirt size. And of course, each kid is assigned to a group, either kids, juniors, or seniors, or minis in certain camps. So you want to collect booklets for your kids or juniors or seniors, depending on your group. And also you want to collect the relevant amount of t-shirts of the right sizes that you need for your group and put them on the side. So you add those. Also, you want to divide the remaining materials and basically share it with the other tutors. There are posters, there are different, different material that you use for crafts. You want either to divide it right away or to put it in a place where you can easily access it, that each tutor can easily access it throughout the day when they need it. Okay. So also very important, once you found your material box, in the box you also have a list of all the materials included in the box. it's good as you go through the material to check on the list what the material is supposed to be. If you see that you're missing something, you can let us know as soon as possible so that we can kind of include it in your missing material, okay? So it's also very important after this to allocate your group spaces and classrooms, okay? So if you have a group, the younger groups should be closer to the toilet when picking a classrooms. The camp director will show you which classrooms you've been assigned. But of course, if you have a group of kids, discuss it amongst yourself and then choose the classroom closer to the bathroom, okay? One very important point is that we want most of the activities to take place outdoors. So it's also very important that you know your outdoor spaces and that each group, each tutor has his or her own kind of outdoor classroom, okay? So take a space that you can use as a classroom outdoors so that you can use that space for most of the activities, unless of course it's raining or, you know, there is like 50 degrees and you cannot possibly stay outdoors. Then you locate your gym, your bathrooms, of course, and your teacher bathrooms, which are the ones that you're going to use. So it's also important. In the material box, you receive camp rules posters to be basically hang around camp so that they're there where everybody can see them with all the camp rules. And of course, remember to say hi to as many people, as many of the school staff as possible, especially the caretakers. They will be a massive help for you throughout camp. They hold the keys to everything. So it's good to have them on your side. Okay. Then this should take approximately 45 minutes. Then with your 15 minutes before camp starts, you should be out welcoming the students. This is the first time you see your students, so it's very important that all the tutors are there, that you're super energetic, you're super like, you're engaged with the kids right away, high five, speaking to as many of them as possible, speaking to the families as well. You know, everybody's gonna be a bit nervous, the kids, because they're going back to school and they still don't know, they're not so sure that it's not gonna be school as usual. So that's something that we want to get out of the way as quickly as possible. Also the parents, you know, for some of the parents, probably for some of the kids will be the first experience of this kind. Maybe they are very little, and the parents also, some of them will be nervous. So you want to really be welcoming and let them know right away that their kids are in good hands and that they're going to have fun at camp. Okay, so this is super important. This is paramount. Once you welcome all the kids, 9 a.m. to 9:45 is all about getting in a circle, introducing yourselves, introducing camp, doing the good camper, bad camper to introduce the camp rules. Now, the good camper, bad camper routine, we'll go through it during in-person training, okay? So you see exactly what we mean by acting out all the different rules and how we make sure they really understand what to do and not to do. Again, please review this section because it's very important, especially if you have a group of seniors. Seniors don't do circles on time. So after good camper, bad camper, the first thing you do is you call out your class of seniors right away and you take them to their allocated space to start with the Nevermore Academy Challenge, which is a different activity that only seniors do instead of circles on time. While the seniors are doing that, we can start with circle song time in the main circle with kids, minis, juniors, whoever is left there. But seniors get to their spaces first. Okay. Then right after that, everybody is in their spaces. You can start your group sessions. Again, this is pretty much going to be focused on you establishing good classroom management practices, okay, with your students. This is super important. If you establish your authority and you show them that you are in control of your class as a first thing, then you're going to save yourself so many issues later on, okay? So that's the main focus of the day. You really want to show them that you are in control. There are your class of students. They don't decide what to do. You decide how the class is run, okay? Then we have the customary snack time. We have some outdoor games and activities. All the plans for the day are on your tutor pack, detailed plans, so you can follow those. You're gonna discuss the plans in details right after this session. We're gonna have a lesson planning session with Sophie. So that's gonna be the final session for the online training. Then there is the lunch and outdoor games and activities. Again, you're gonna receive your break schedule, so you know exactly who's gonna be on game stations, patrol, breaks, and how this is gonna rotate. Okay. Very important on the first day, at 2 p.m. you have your registration. That's when you give out your bell kits to the students. Remember, you want to give out your bell kits to the students in green first, the ones marked in green on your class list. Then only if you have enough spare for all of the students marked in red, you can give those out. We always send some spares, but if you see that there are not enough for all of the students marked in red, please wait for the missing material before you give out kits to the students in red, because they will get upset invariably. So you give like 2 kits to 2 of them, and other 2 are left without. They're all 4 in red, and they will go, but I enrolled before this other guy, and it's gonna be a nightmare. So unless you have kits for all of the students in red, please do not give kits to any of them. Wait for the missing material, and then give all the kits to all of the students in red. Also, yeah, let me see. We have a question from Daniela. Hi.
Hi, do you know when they would receive those kits, the missing kits?
So on the by the end of the first day, you should send us a list of missing material, and we're aiming to send it out right away, either on the first day or on the morning of the second day, meaning that by the Wednesday, the latest, you should receive all the missing material.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay. Then the afternoon again, you have your, of course, and you take your register during registration as well. You take your first register that you should send us at the end of the day. The registers need to be uploaded via a link that you'll find on the registers themselves. You'll find the registers in your material box. There is a link on there, and you save the link and you use that to upload your registers at the end of the day. On the first day, every Monday and Friday at camp, basically, you upload your register. Then you have different sessions, you have a break, some final showcase rehearsals, some crafts, and then at 4 p.m. there is a roundup. And for the kids and juniors, you have your final circle song time. And at 4:30, for a camp starting at 9, at 4:30, the camp is over. Okay, at the end of the day, on the first day, upload your registers and send us the missing material list. If you are in a multiple tutors camp, please do just one list, okay? It's not like each tutor should send us their missing materials. Get together, put everything in one single list, and please send it to us. So we have everything in one place, we don't miss anything, we send a nice package for you, okay? And that's pretty much it. I can stress this enough. Please read through these pages again and again, especially just the day before your first day. Okay, so you know exactly what is going to happen. Okay? Any questions?
I have a question, Alessio.
Yes.
Please,
For me.
No. For the tutors, can you please make sure you finish and complete your coursework? Please, please, please. I don't want anyone to be upset tomorrow. Please finish your coursework. Some of you are even missing the self-assessment. The self-assessment is not to be studied anything. You just need to tell us how confident or not confident you are. Okay, so please, it takes 5 minutes to do the self-assessment. Please do that at the very, very least. I need to know what are your feelings about this training, okay? Just that, sorry. Yes, Casey? You've done
So I missed.
it away, so well done. You've done the self-assessment, so well done.
I missed the training session yesterday. I've uploaded a video of me reading a story. Do I need to upload another one as well?
No, that's fine. That's fine. We need to see at least one thing of each of you. So you're fine, Casey. Don't worry. All
Okay,
good.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay. just to make sure we're all on the same page, what is going to happen after today's session, we'll start doing our final evaluation. That means that if you have any coursework or any video assignment missing, we'll start evaluating and we'll need those, okay, in order to be able to give you your final evaluation. Tomorrow, we'll start sending out emails to successful and unsuccessful candidates. So please, if you haven't completed all of the video assignments, do so at the end, right at the end of the session today. Okay, when we finish today, please complete all of the coursework because we'll need it right away, basically. Okay, we can start evaluating from what we have at the moment, but then at some point we'll get to
Okay,
all the stuff that is missing.
For everyone, I see very worried face. Okay, don't be worried about passing or not passing the training. Okay, if you participated, if you hand on your coursework, if you learn something about this training, it's fine. You're gonna be fine. It's not going to be a problem. But please do your coursework. That is the problem. Okay, if you uploaded everything, if you've done your coursework, you don't have to be worried. Okay, I see many worried faces. I just wanted to make everyone not be worried. But if you haven't done your coursework, then please do it.
Okay, guys, exactly what Gwendolina said. Sorry to worry you. Okay, I submitted my yesterday, but it shows it wasn't turned in. Okay, no problem. Okay, guys, I think now it's time for your session with Sophie. Let's see if Sophie is online yet.
You're fine. Don't worry.
Hi.
Daniela message. Daniela, you're fine. Okay, don't worry about it.
Okay. Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
Hello. All right. So take it away, please. I'll see you guys at the end of the session. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, thank
Okay,
you.
everyone. Okay. So it's me again, and this is our final session. So today we're going to be talking about lesson planning. It's another really important topic. And again, as before, if you have any questions or if anything isn't clear, raise your hand or shout out and ask a question at any time. So we're going to go through the basics of lesson planning, but we're also going to look at the daily plans in the tutor pack. So if you haven't already looked at these, we'll go through them together and start thinking about how you need to prepare. So I will share my slides and let's get started. Now, lesson planning is, again, a bit of a deceiving title because although this is a lesson planning workshop and you will need to plan your lessons, the majority of what most people would describe as lesson planning has already been done for you. So all of the programs have been prepared with activities and games to fill every minute of your time at camp. However, although we've prepared these programs, we cannot prepare a program that works for absolutely every child in every group. So you're going to be the ones working with your students. You're going to get to know them, get to know what they like and what they don't like, what works and what doesn't. So you will need to adapt some things in the program. And a huge part of lesson planning is being prepared. So as I mentioned before in classroom management, a major part of working as a tutor is being prepared and knowing the games and activities that you're going to be running and the structure of the day. So we're going to be going through all of that together in this lesson planning workshop. So just to start us off, these are the daily theme posters, which you will find on the final pages of the tutor pack. These are the examples for the kids and juniors. So you can see you have a 2-week program poster here and then a 1-week program poster here. Now, these posters are the only things that the camp director and the parents have seen regarding the program of the summer camp. So they know the title of the day and any key activities that will be happening. So key vocabulary and key activities of the day. So for example, they know that on day 1, you'll be welcoming the students, doing introductions and team building activities. They know that water games will be coming up. They know that interactive storytelling will be coming up. So they know these major activities. They don't have any more detail than this. So it gives them a daily theme, vocabulary topics, and key activities. It doesn't give any more detail. And we would ask that you not share any more than this. So this is all that they need to know. They need to know the main activities and the themes of the day. But if they want to see your tutor pack, please ask them instead. For example, the camp director might want to see it. Ask them to come and observe one of your lessons, or to come and see what you're doing with the activities and the games with your students, rather than sharing the tutor pack with them, which is something we've put a lot of time and energy into creating. The tutor pack is for you. It's the keys in the name. It's for tutors. And we want you to put the activities and games into practice. And if the camp director wants to know more about what's in the program, they can come and see you putting it into practice. So again, this is all that the parents and the camp director will know about the program. So it's your job to bring it to life. So we have the same set of posters for the seniors, and they are just the same information. So a daily theme, the key vocabulary, and key activities. So I know you've been through the materials already once with Gwen in another session, but let's just recap. So you will have a materials list in your materials box, and it is important that you go through the materials list on your first day and let us know if anything is missing. It will look very similar to this. It's just a list of items that you should have. The sooner that you tell us anything that's missing, the quicker we can get it to you. You'll also have your tutor's bag, which will contain other items that you might need. And although there's a materials box for each camp, the tutor's bag is for you, an individual tutor, and you should take that with you. The students should also have some of their own materials that they bring with them. They have been instructed to bring things like pens, pencils, glue, paper, like a notepad, and other materials that they might need for crafts. An additional material that you will have are the students' booklets. I know Gwen mentioned these before. These are booklets that you will give out to each student so they can work through them. And we'll see in the daily plans when we go through them that after some activities, a certain page or number of pages are referenced from the students' booklets. So once you've finished a certain activity, you will then go to the students' booklet and complete some similar pages that are linked to the activity you've just done. The point of the students' booklet is to build on the main activities that you're doing with your students, not to replace them. So the students' booklets aren't something that you can leave your students to work through for an hour whilst you do your own thing. They are just short activities to finish a main activity in a session. So it's an additional activity. If you don't manage to complete everything in the booklet, it doesn't matter. They're there to build on what you've done in the lesson. They're just extra activities in the booklets that you can use. But as I said, they should not be used as a way for you to have a break. So when your students are working through the booklets, you need to be going through it with them. Some of the activities might be a bit challenging, so you'll need to support them and explain exactly what they need to do. And you should always be interacting with your students at all times. So there will be student bags and t-shirts to hand out, as Alessio said, on the first day. And all of the information that you need about handing these things out is in the tutor pack on the pages, which describe in detail all about your first day at camp. There are also student certificates, which you will need to complete and hand out to all of your students at the end of your camp. So a good idea is to hand these out on the final day. It can be at the final showcase if you have a small camp with a few students, but if you have a big camp with lots of students, it's too many to go through in front of all the parents, and you'll be there for hours handing out certificates. But just remember, you do need to complete these and hand them out to your students. You'll also have the class rules and the camp rules poster that we talked about in classroom management. And again, it's a really important piece of material. If for any reason you don't have the camp rules or class rules poster, get in touch with us straight away so that we can give you a copy of it. And even if it's not the printed copy, you'll know what the rules are and you can then explain them to your students. But you will almost certainly have these posters and you need to use them on that first day. So introduce the class rules, introduce the camp rules. As we discussed in classroom management, you can have a discussion about your rules with the older students, collaborate on them so they feel more invested, get them to sign them as a contract or put a fingerprint for the little ones. Act out examples of good behavior and bad behavior and ask your students to tell you if it's acceptable or not acceptable. you want to really make sure these rules are clear and get your students into a good routine from day one. So things like bathroom breaks, raising their hand for speaking, sitting and focusing, these need to be things that you focus on that first day so that the students are in a good routine from the very beginning. And then you have less chance for the students to start misbehaving. There are lots of activities in the tutor pack which we have built in so that you can practice getting the students into these routines and following the rules. And we will look at those when we go on to the tutor pack. So just an additional note for the materials. On top of the materials that you are provided with, you will need to create on your first day a class tag, which is simply a piece of paper that has your name on and the group that you will have. So for example, it could be as simple as Sophie Seniors. If I had a class of seniors, write it on a plain piece of paper and put it on the door of your room so that your students know where to go, because you don't want confusion on the first day. It doesn't need to be a work of art. It's just something that makes clear where your group will be working and what group you're working with. After that, as one of the craft activities, you will be creating a class banner. So this can virtually replace the class tag because it'll be something that your students do. They'll probably think of a name for their group, so something maybe more creative and something more personal to them, and they can decorate it with all kinds of things. So as one of the craft activities, they'll be making a banner and they can think about a name for their group that you can then use during your time at camp. But these will be things that you'll have to create on top of the materials that you're provided with. Any questions about materials or anything else so far? Okay, well, without further ado, let's move on. Oh no, Casey, question?
Darcy asked in the group chat, in regards to the tutor pack, if we're unable to print it off before we fly out, is there any way we can print it off when we arrive?
So I would say you don't need to print it off. Obviously, if you want a physical copy, that's absolutely fine. But it may be a challenge once you arrive. I'm not sure what facilities there will be at in-person training. You might get lucky, there might be an option to print there, or you might find somewhere on your way traveling to camp, but it's a really long document, so I don't think you can't really ask your host family to print that out. That would be a bit unfair, and you might not have the chance to do it at school either. So if you want it printed, print it before you go. You don't need it printed, but if you do want it printed, then I would definitely recommend printing before you arrive in Italy, because things will be very busy and you might not have another opportunity. Yes, Daniela.
I was gonna say to Darcy that a lot of tabaquerias have printing options. So if you are in Florence, you could it's like 130 pages. Maybe you could pick a couple of like key ones that you really want to have printed, and you could ask them to do it. You just email them and they print it. It's pretty easy. I've done it a couple times.
Yeah, so if you can find somewhere to print, that's great. Prioritize the pages with the daily plans, because the rest of it is information that you should have read before you arrive anyway. And the daily plans will be the ones that you need to refer to for the lessons. But yeah, so if you can find somewhere, definitely research it in advance and see if you can find somewhere, but it may be possible for you to print when you arrive. So let's have a look at the tutor pack document itself. So I know you've already read lots of the pages as homework activities during this training, but today we are going to look at the daily plans pages, because these are the ones that are the most important for your days at camp. So as you can see, we have the beautiful contents page that shows you all of the sections in the tutor pack. And this year it is interactive, so if you want to go to a specific section, all you need to do is click on the section in the contents page. And again, once you move to that section where there's a home button in the top corner, that will take you back to this page, so then you can find your way to another section very easily. You can see on this contents page that everything is color coded. So camp songs are in purple, outdoor games and activities in pink, games in yellow, crafts in orange, whole camp activities in green, interactive storytelling in dark blue, and the final showcase in light blue. When you look at the daily plans, they will follow the same color coding with each section. So if you have circle song time at the beginning and the end of the day with your kids and juniors, it will be in purple because it's using the camp songs. If you have a game session, it will be in yellow. A craft session will be in orange, and so on. So everything is color coded, so you know which section to look at in the tutor pack. So I'm not going to go through these first few pages because you've had all of the information from them already in our debriefs, and you should have read them yourselves anyway. But all of the important information that you might need and the answers to all of your questions will presumably be in these pages if you take a good look. And it is really important, especially if you haven't already read them, that you read them and read them again and again so you are familiar with everything. So we have host families and the roles at camp. Absolutely everything is here. So after this, when we have the first day at camp, this is all of the minute-by-minute detail that you will need for your first day at camp. So if you're nervous, which I'm sure some of you are, it's only natural when you're starting a new experience like this, these pages are key for reading. So Alessio has gone through a lot of the information about the first day with you, but read through this information again and again. It will answer most of your questions about the first day, and it will make you feel a lot more relaxed and confident when you get there. So it has all the information that you might need about things you need to do before you even arrive at camp, and then a minute-by-minute guide for the very first day. So all of the information that you might need, including all of the activities that you will be doing and tips about what to expect and anything specific to do. So let's move on to the daily plans. This is the 2-week schedule for kids and juniors. So this is an overview of the first week at camp with the kids and juniors. So this shows you the main activities and the sessions that you will be running with your students. So for example, on Monday, the theme of the day was we are on the same team, because you're going to be doing team building and introductions and getting to know your students and building a rapport, as we talked about in classroom management, which is really important. So the first session you have is welcome and introductions, and it's purple because it will include some singing. So you'll have your camp songs and circle song time. Then all the way through, you have the color coding. So we have the yellow for a game session, it's vocabulary games. Then for pink, we have snack time and outdoor activities and games. Classroom sessions are in dark blue. So these are more classroom desk-based activities. Then you have outdoor games and activities again at lunchtime. Registration, as Alessio mentioned, which is really important that you take your register, take a photo of it and submit it. We will send you a link on the WhatsApp groups so that you have it ready to submit. But please remember, do not forget to submit your registers on Mondays and Fridays. We'll also send you reminders, but it is really important. Another classroom session, a break in the afternoon, and then usually it's a craft activity after that, and then round up. So you can see it's an overview of the whole 2 weeks at camp. So this is a good couple of pages to look at if you're thinking, can't quite remember what session comes next. It will tell you here. And again, you can see the color coding very clearly so you know what type of session it's going to be. But for all of the detail, you need to look at the daily plans. So this is day 1 with the kids and juniors. So you start with your welcomes and introductions, introducing the camp rules, introducing yourself and getting to know your students by asking everyone their names. Then you have a circle song time, so singing a couple of songs together. Call out the class lists so you know which students are in which class, and make sure they are assigned to the correct tutors. Then you have a vocabulary session, so getting to know the students better, so practicing introductions and name games, and settling some of the nerves because it's a new experience for you and all of the students. So you want to get to know each other and make everyone feel relaxed and welcome. We have snack time and outdoor games and activities at 10:15. So although this is almost like a break, it's still a time when you need to be supervising and engaging with your students. So you can't sit back and have a coffee and let them run wild. It needs to be a structured time. So they'll probably bring a snack that they can eat. That's great. So they have a snack, make sure everyone's finished eating and they've had a drink. And if they need the toilet, or have a trip to the toilet, keep it nice and structured, and then play some games and activities. So you will need to plan and decide on the games and activities to do in this session. Because as you can see, we haven't recommended the outdoor games and activities. There's a long list on a later page in the tutor pack for you to choose from. So it's up to you to decide which activities to do in the pink sessions. Then we have a classroom session where you are again going through the classroom rules and setting boundaries. So using the classroom rules poster and the camp rules poster, introducing the camp rules and showing the students examples of good behavior. This is also the time to introduce the attention grabber that we discussed in classroom management. So you should have decided on what attention grabber you're going to use. We have recommended one here. So a simple clapping rhythm, but you can choose something else if you want. So a call and response, or maybe you've got another idea, that's okay. But as long as you use this time to introduce it and make it clear what the students need to do and what the purpose of this attention grabber is. There's another little activity of a self-portrait where you can get the students to all draw a picture of themselves and write their names on it. Then you can keep it on their desks so it makes it easier to remember everyone's names. Don't know about all of you, but I'm terrible at remembering names. So having little name tags or a picture with their name on it on the desk would be very helpful for me. It's also a really nice way to get the students to relax. We have another classroom session after this, which is practicing instructions. And this is another really important session. So this is getting your students into a good routine to follow the rules and to minimize misbehavior. So you're going to start with some simple games, which are practicing following instructions. So just listening and following instructions. For example, Simon Says, which is quite a common game that most of you, I'm sure, have played at some stage. But things like that, where you're practicing following instructions, but in a fun and engaging way. So everything is in the style of games to make it light-hearted and enjoyable and engaging for the students. Rather than just repeating rules again and again, we're making it fun, we're making it engaging, so that they follow these rules and instructions naturally without thinking about it. So we have several different activities for specific rules and routines. So follow the leader to practice walking in an orderly fashion. So then when you need to move between spaces, so from the classroom to outside or going to the bathroom, the students will do this in an orderly fashion rather than running all over the place and being difficult to keep under control. Your turn is practicing taking turns. So practicing putting a hand up when they want to speak, not speaking all over each other so that you can't hear. So taking turns and being respectful of each other. And finally, instruction elimination. Again, practicing following instructions because you need to make sure it's clear that whatever you say goes. Although it's summer camp and we want the students to have a fun experience, they need to realize that they have to listen to you and they follow your instructions. So this whole session is designed to ensure your students are in a good routine and follow your instructions. After this, we have lunchtime with more outdoor games and activities. And it's the same thing as I mentioned for snack time in the morning. It needs to be a structured session. So lunchtime, they have to eat, make sure everybody's eaten, make sure you have a bathroom break as well. And then structured time where they're playing games and activities with you, the tutors. You can't let them run around wild doing whatever they want whilst you sit on your phone catching up with friends and family. It still needs to be structured. So make sure you have a good plan for lunchtime and take it in turns between you when you're at a multiple tutor camp so that you can have breaks. So someone starts off on a lunch break whilst the others supervise the students, and then you take a rota where you take time for having your lunch break whilst the others supervise the students and play games and activities with them. So it should still be a structured time, and you need to plan and choose the games and activities to play with them. So after the first day, you'll get to know your students and find out which games and activities they like. So then you can choose the ones that you think they will engage with the best. After lunch is the time to complete your register, which, as I said before, is so important. We really need you to complete the register and submit it. So make sure you take a photo on your phone as soon as you've done it. So then you can submit it on the link, preferably straight away, but definitely by the end of the day when you finish at camp. So we have a copy of it. This is also the time to hand out the student bags and t-shirts. And again, all of the information that you need is in this, on this daily plan, and also in the pages about the first day at camp. So including the submitting the missing materials list, which we will again send you a link for. In the afternoon, we have a classroom session where you are doing team building activities. So there's lots of different activities there, all based on favorite characters. So thinking about the characters that the activities are based on at camp, you can see these in the overview posters, but we've also suggested some in the activities too. But they're all fun activities to get to know your students better. We have a break at 3 o'clock, so another time for making sure everyone has a drink of water, another snack if they want it, and time to go to the bathroom. Then we have a craft in the afternoon, so this will be the time that you're making your class banner together, but also for the kids and juniors, you're going to be making a rocket, because the first day is all about Buzz Lightyear. At 4 o'clock, we have 15 minutes for a roundup. So this is the time when you want to get the classroom tidy, put everything away that you've been using, get the students ready to go home. So any last minute toilet breaks, or making sure everybody's bag is packed and they haven't left anything behind, so that they're ready to go after you finish Circle Song Time, the final activity of the day. And finally, at the end of the page, we have some notes. So as I said in classroom management, we do include these note sections at the end of the day to remind you, the tutors, what you might need to do on that day. So on day 1, hand out the student bags and t-shirts, send the missing materials list, and upload the register. So 3 key things that you need to remember to do on day 1. So as you can see, it's a very structured day. We have different activities and different sessions, but it's all detailed here. And if you don't find the detail in the daily plan, so for example, for the crafts, you know which section to go to. Go to the orange craft section in the tutor pack, and the instructions and the materials that you need will all be listed there. For Circle Song Time, it's up to you to choose the songs that you want to sing with your students. So on the first day, the Bell Song is a great choice, but choose a couple of others to go through together as well. There are plenty of songs, and the lyrics are all in the purple section in the tutor pack. So, any questions so far? Jenna.
Hello. So I see on the timetables that there's 2 weeks of plans, but then if we're only on a 1-week camp, I'm assuming they still do a final showcase. So how do we then just follow the 2nd week plan?
Right, great question. So if you are at a 1-week camp, sometimes it depends. Sometimes they don't do a final showcase, but often they do. But if you are at a 1-week camp, you will be sent a separate specific.
Okay.
It will be very similar to the ones that are in the tutor packs, but it will be specific activities that are taken from it. So don't just follow the 1st week or the 2nd week from the tutor pack. Follow the program that is sent to you. But we will send that out and make it clear if you are at a 1-week camp. Don't worry.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Raditsai?
My question is about breaks.
Mm-hmm.
What time is the tutor break? Or we also have to take a break when they're having lunch, or during that lunch break at 3?
So theoretically, there are no tutor breaks where you're not with the students. You will be with your students all day. I know
allowed to eat whilst they're there, because it can be a problem. Are we allowed to eat whilst they're there? Because it can be a problem having a snack with minis.
Yeah, obviously it is a challenge to eat when you're also supervising your children, but you must remember to eat. Otherwise, by the end of the day, you're going to be passing out. Yes, you should eat with your students. So when they're eating, you also have your lunch. And they'll be busy eating anyway. They might come over to chat to you or ask you a question or something. But yes, eat with your students, and then you have your structured games and activities after that. Roisin?
Hi, yeah, sorry, I actually have 2 questions after that. First of all, I'm just wondering about the lunch. Does our host family provide us with that lunch, or how does that work?
So it depends on the host family and the school. Sometimes the host family sends you with the lunch. Sometimes the school will provide one in the canteen. I can't specifically say whether you will have one either way, but it will be provided. It's part of the organization.
Okay, thank you. And then, sorry, the first part of the question that I wanted to ask was, yes, about the plans. I'm in session 12, so I think it's a 2-week camp. But from what I spoke to Alessio about yesterday, I think he said that like I would be 1 week in one place and then we're all moved to another place. So do we follow that 1 and 2 week plan, and then the first place would just have no showcase and the second place would?
I will reply to this. If you are in session 12, Alessio cannot know if you are in a 2-week or in a 1-week camp. I can guarantee this because we haven't evaluated the training yet. So, and we decide the teams during the live training. So you could be in a 1 week, or you could be in a 2-week camp. We trainers don't know this yet because we decide that during the live training. So if you are in a 2 weeks, you follow that plan. If you are in a 1 week, we will give you the 1 week plan. Okay.
Okay, that's
Don't
perfect.
worry.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. I just wanted to clarify this.
Yeah, so just to be clear, if you are at a camp that runs for 2 weeks in the same school, you follow the 2-week plan in the tutor pack. If you are spending 2 weeks with Bell but at 2 different camps, you will be sent separate 1-week programs for each of those camps. So for a 1-week camp, it is a different program, but it will be sent to you and made clear which ones you need to use. Any further questions? Okay. Oh, Jenna.
Hello. So the registers we do sort of midday.
Mm-hmm.
But then how will we know if we have all the children that we're meant to have, you know, in our group? Or
so you make a list of the students who are in your group on that day. So whoever is sitting in your class, you take their names and you tick whether they're present. If you've been informed that there should be someone else on the list or someone else should be there, you can write their name or put a cross beside it to show that they're not there. But we just want to see who has been present on that day. And yeah, take it at 2 p.m. That's the time to do it.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so going through the tutor pack, it all follows this very similar structure. Each day is different activities, but it's a similar structure. So as you can see on day 2, we start with Circle Song Time. For kids and juniors, we start every day with Circle Song Time. So it's a great way to start off your morning. And again, it's your choice of songs. So you need to plan the Circle Song Time session. From day 2, we also have showcase rehearsals. So preparing for the final showcase, starting by introducing the idea of drama and theatre by playing some drama games. But as you work through the week, you will be building in role allocation and practicing the lines, and then practicing the full show as you get closer to the final day. Snack time again, as always, and you will need to plan your outdoor games and activities because it is a half-hour slot, so it won't take your students half an hour to eat their snack, but you want to make sure you build in a bathroom break, make sure everyone has a drink of water, and then do some outdoor games and activities of your choice. Then we have a vocabulary session, so introducing likes and dislikes. So the vocabulary for kids and juniors is often very simple. We have different activities for the kids and the juniors because they are different ages and abilities, but the vocabulary is usually the same. So make sure you're clear on what vocabulary you're introducing and how to play all of the games. Then you have a classroom activities session which builds on the vocabulary that you've introduced. So in this case, it's all about favorite things. So we're talking about things we like, things we don't like, and our favorite things. And in a classroom activity session, it's usually a more structured and detailed activity rather than games. But again, we still have games to keep the students engaged and focused because they do have shorter attention spans, the little ones. So you want to keep things interesting and keep changing the activities. In the afternoon, we have our lunch break as always. And as I said, you should make sure everyone's eaten, bathroom break again, water, and then outdoor games and activities of your choice. And keep it structured. Then we have our first whole camp activity, as I was talking to you about yesterday. And on day 2, it's the treasure hunt. So go to the pages in the tutor pack in green and read all of the information about the treasure hunt. Remember, with the whole camp activities, they do need extra preparation in advance. So make sure you're prepared the morning before, if possible. Then you have a break again at 3 o'clock, crafts in the afternoon, a roundup, and then circle song time to finish. Finally, the note for day 2 says dictate a note to parents for students to write and take home. Please bring a cardboard tube, brackets from toilet roll, kitchen roll, etc. tomorrow. For younger students, you'll have to write it on the board for them to copy because they won't be able to write it from what you're saying. But again, go through it verbally with them as well. So write it on the board and say it to them too. So make it very clear what they need to write down. The note to parents will have already been sent by us as well, but you should make it clear. It's always worth a second reminder. So don't forget to do that. Anyway, as you can see, the daily plans follow a very similar structure. So they all start with circle song time for the kids and juniors. Then you have the different sessions through the day, which are color coded according to what style of activity you will be doing. So I'm not going to go through every day with you. It's up to you to go through them. And I would suggest looking at them in advance, because the more familiar with them you are, the better. But definitely the night before each day, you need to go through it in detail and memorize the activities and think about any materials that you're going to need and anything else that you need to plan and prepare. We'll just take a quick look at day 10, which is the final day of a 2-week camp. And the final day is the same for a 2-week camp and a 1-week camp in most cases. Again, starting with circle song time as usual. Then you'll have your final showcase rehearsal. So a whole camp run through all together. Snack time as always. And then you have your art gallery preparations. So during camp, you've made lots of lovely craft activities and all sorts of other things. You might have done drawings, the students might have made other things. So gather all of these together and create a beautiful display of them for the parents and relatives to see. You want to show off all of your students' hard work. Then there's time for certificates and awards. So I mentioned already that you need to you need to fill in the certificates for all of your students. And you can have a lovely award ceremony where you hand these out. You can also have awards for different skills. So best dancer, best singer, most improved during the camp, anything that you want to do to personalize the award ceremony. Any other final reminders for the final showcase also should be done just now. So if you need to modify any costumes or making sure you have everything ready and everybody's feeling relaxed, this is the time to do it. And a final activity, making a postcard from camp. So something that the students can do a drawing on and then write a little message to their parents and their families, so that it's just to settle their nerves and to calm everyone down. You have lunch as always with the outdoor games and activities. And then finally, a final vocabulary session, revising all of the vocabulary that you've learned throughout the camp. And you can play all of your students' favorite games. So by now you will know all of the games that they've loved. So bring these all back for one final vocabulary session. As always, we have a roundup, and this will be your chance to make sure that everybody's ready for the final showcase. And then you have your final showcase starting at, in most cases, 3:30. So make sure you're prepared with everything. You've had your final run through, you're warmed up, and everybody is ready. And as I said yesterday, all of the information for the final showcase can be found in the blue pages, the light blue pages at the end of the tutor pack. So all of the information you need is in there. But if you have any more questions, of course, you can get in touch with us. And a final reminder to upload the register, because it will be a Friday on your final day at camp. And we need registers on Mondays and Fridays. So that is the 2-week camp for the kids and juniors. This is the 2-week camp schedule for the seniors, and it is a little bit different. The activities are definitely different, but the structure is slightly different too. So although it looks very similar, in the mornings, instead of circle song time, we start the day with Belle's Nevermore Academy, which is the seniors challenge. And this replaces circle song time for the older students because they don't really like to sing. They feel it's too young for them and they don't want to engage with it. So instead, we have a series of challenges for them to participate in. And these challenges can be found on pages further in the tutor pack. And we'll look at them in a minute. But for now, all you need to know is that the Circle Song Time in the morning has been replaced by this series of challenges for your senior classes. Again, the first day and the overview looks very similar. You have the same snack time and lunch times. You have breaks and the roundup. You have your craft activities and whole camp activities. But the vocabulary and the classroom session activities are different, and the games that the students will be playing will be different. So this is the overview of the 2 weeks. Let's look at the daily plan for the seniors on day 1. Again, it's very similar. So you can see you start off with welcome and introductions, just like with the kids and juniors, introducing the camp rules and getting to know your students. Introduce yourself and ask all of the students your names. Now, instead of Circle Song Time, you start off with the first of the seniors' challenges. So we'll look at that in a moment, because as you can see, it's not detailed on the daily plan. It's in later pages under the green, the dark green color. After that, we have a vocabulary session where you're breaking the ice and playing some games. Very similar to as with the kids and juniors, but the games are different. So make sure if you have a seniors class, you're looking at the seniors plans. If you have a kids and juniors class, make sure you're looking at the kids and juniors plans, because the activities are different and they won't be suitable for the different age groups. Again, we have snack time and outdoor activities. It's your responsibility to plan this session and make sure it's structured. Then we have a classroom session where we're introducing the rules and setting boundaries, introducing your attention grabber, and going through the classroom rules together. And since it's the seniors, you can make this collaborative, have a discussion, ask them to edit the rules and add to them. Make sure you all agree on them. Then we have practicing instructions, and the activities are a bit different for the seniors, but they're still practicing the same skills and getting your students into a good routine. So starting with some simple games, and then we have instruction in elimination to practice following instructions, line up to practice organization and communication, and camp expectations. So this is a chance for you to explain what your expectations are from camp and to find out what your students are expecting from the camp experience. So they can express something they're nervous about, something they're excited about, or maybe they have a question, something they're not sure about. Because they're seniors, they're that bit older, they're probably going to be able to speak English and communicate better. You can have more of a communicative session with them and discuss with them, get to know them, build a rapport. At 12:30, as always, it's lunchtime, and the same goes for the seniors as with the kids and juniors. It needs to be structured, so make sure that everyone's had their lunch, remind them that this is time to take a toilet break, and then have a structured session with games and activities. Registration is just the same, so you need to complete your register, hand out student bags and t-shirts, and do the missing materials list. Then we have a classroom session. So this is another set of activities to get to know your students and for them to get to know each other too. So lots of different activities and games for the students to engage with. Then we have the break at 3 o'clock. We have a craft in the afternoon, and all of the students will do the class banners craft. And then for seniors, it's a different craft. It's the Doctor Strange Mandala Shield. And you can find all of the information about these crafts on the orange pages later in the tutor pack. And then finally, the last 15 minutes, we have a roundup. So time to get everybody ready to go home, make sure everybody has everything that they came with and are ready to go home for the day. Again, the notes are the same. So just reminders to hand out the bags and t-shirts, send the missing materials list, and upload the register. So you can see the structure is very, very similar, but the activities and the games are different. So it's really important that you make sure you're looking at the correct plans for your group. So day 2, again, the same. All of the days follow this very similar structure, which helps to keep your students in a good routine and so they know exactly what to expect when they get to camp. So the structure is the same, but the activities and the games are different. Day 10, the final day, is very similar to the kids and juniors, so I'm not going to go through that again. But after this, we have the 1 week camp schedules. So if you are following a 1 week camp schedule, this is the one that you will be using, unless we send you a specific one separately from this. But that will all be communicated to you before you start at camp. If you need a specific program, we will send it to you. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all the pages of each program because they are very similar to the 2 week program. So we've just selected 5 of the best days and put in the best activities for a 1 week camp. What we do need to look at is the Seniors Challenge, the Bells Nevermore Academy. So this, as I said, replaces Circle Song Time in the mornings for the seniors. So on day 1, you're doing an introduction to this activity. Explain that they're going to be doing a series of challenges across the 2 weeks or the 1 week camp. It's all on the theme of the TV series Wednesday and the Nevermore Academy. So you're having different challenges each day. The first day is an introduction to the whole thing, where you want to divide your students into teams and get them to create a team poster, a team name, emblem, badge or symbol, a slogan, a chant, anything that they want. Be creative so that they are team building. On the second day, we have round 1 of the challenge. So this is when they can start building up points. So we have a drawing dictation activity and a riddle for the students to solve. And as you can see, all of the information that you need is here on these pages. So just like the whole camp activities or the crafts, you need to go to the specific pages in the tutor pack to read about the activity that you will be doing during that session. Day 3 is round 2, and we have the rowing competition. On day 4, we have round 3 with Lost in the Fog, which is a maze activity. And you can see that we've explained how many points the students will get. So 3 points for the winning team, 2 points for the runner-up, and 1 point for third place. Remember to keep track of the points because, as I mentioned before, Italian students are very competitive. So if you don't know how many points their team has, or if you've no idea which team is winning, they're going to be very frustrated. So make sure you know how many points each team has and keep track of them. On day 5, we have the quiz. So you've got plenty of questions to keep your students engaged. On day 6, we have solving the mystery. So there are a series of clues which your students have to decode to find out who is the culprit of the mystery. On day 7, we have an art class, which is a group puzzle piece picture. And you will have a printout for this in your materials box. So make sure that you have the Van Gogh Sunflowers printout before you start this activity. On day 8, we have prom night, which is the TikTok dance challenge. So teaching your students to do a different TikTok dance, and then they have to perform it in front of you and their fellow students. And then they get points for each group and also for individuals. Here is the printout that I was talking about. So if you don't have the physical printout, you do have a copy of it in the tutor pack. And then on day 9, we have the final challenge. So a final series of games and challenges for your students. And on day 10, we have the graduation ceremony. So celebrate the 10 days of challenges that the students have completed and tally up all the points and let them know who are the winners. Again, you can give special individual awards. So the best artist from the art session, or the best dancer from the TikTok dance competition, or the best detective from solving the mystery. Be creative and make it a celebration with lots of party games and excitement. Any questions about the Nevermore Academy Seniors Challenge? Yes, Casey.
Are we more likely to be with seniors or the younger kids?
It just depends. I don't know what the statistics are for how many kids and how many juniors and how many seniors we have, but it's usually pretty even spread. I would say it's sort of like a third kids, a third juniors, a third seniors. So it just depends. Yeah, but we try to place people with the age group that we think they will be most suited to.
Thank you.
No problem. Asher.
So is this This is with our tutor groups, right?
Yes, if you have a seniors group, this will be one of the activities that you do with just your group.
So then each team will be around 3 to 4 students, is that right?
It just depends. It depends on how big your group is. So obviously you want to have minimum 2 groups to compete against each other. But yes, depending on how many students you have and how well they work together, maybe you've got really advanced students, you might want to have them in smaller groups of 3 or 4, or maybe you want to have them in bigger groups of 5 or 6. It depends on what you feel works the best.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Any more questions, anyone? Roisin.
Yes, sorry, I'm not sure if you mentioned this or not, but assigning the points, do we just decide who is the best team and who gets which points?
Yeah, pretty much. So it depends on the different activities. Sometimes it will be quite clear. So for example, with the quiz activity, if we can go back. Here we are. So with the quiz, obviously, they'll just have to count up how many answers they got right, and then it will be clear who got the most points from that, because who got the most answers correct. Whereas with something like the dance competition or the art class one, it'll be up to you, the tutor, to be the judge, and you decide which was the best dance performance and which was the best art picture.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so let's just have another look at the rest of the pages in the tutor pack. As I said, purple is songs. So for Circle Song Time, this is where you want to go. You have the lyrics, and you will go through the songs on Circle Song Time in-person training. So you will have lots of time to practice, but make sure you're familiar with the songs before you get there, because you'll want to be confident so that you can have a good practice together. But all of the lyrics are here in the tutor pack if you need them. Next, we have outdoor games and activities. So as I said, for snack time and break time and lunchtime, you need to make sure that you are structuring these sessions. You want to have games and activities planned so that the students are not getting bored, and so they're not running riot and just in chaos. So make sure it's really structured, and we've explained exactly how to structure these sessions at the beginning of these pages. Then you have lots of different games that you can choose from. So there are pages of games with suggested activities that you can play with your students. So plenty to choose from. So choose different ones for each day to keep the students engaged. Obviously, if you have a favorite one, you can return to that. But there are lots and lots of games to choose from. And these are the sessions that it's up to you to plan and choose the games and activities for. Then we have the yellow pages of the games. So these are the classroom games, so the games that you'll be using during the other sessions. And we've separated them into different sections. So the first section is icebreakers and warm-up games. So these will be the games you use mostly on the first day, and then to introduce new vocabulary and new sessions in the classroom. As you can see, for each game, there's the name of the game, then a suggested age group to play the game with, and then the instructions for how to play the game. And this is the same for all of the games. In the daily plans, you will just see the name of the game. So it might say, for kids, you're playing the name game, Bang, and Bing Bong Name. So then you'll need to come to these pages to find out how to play the games. But everything you need is here. So plenty of pages of icebreakers and warm-up games. If you need extras, if you get through the ones that are in the daily plans and you still have extra time, there are plenty to use here. Then we have the vocabulary and classroom games. So these are the ones that you'll use to introduce and practice vocabulary in your sessions. Again, they have the suggested ages to play the games with and all of the instructions. And there are plenty of pages of vocabulary and classroom games to choose from. Next, we have the flashcard games. So for any sessions where you have flashcards will be in your tutor's bag. So you will have plenty of them with you to use. If they disappear, don't panic. As we said before, you can make a quick set yourself, or you can make it into an activity and get the students to make the flashcards instead. But don't give up. If you really can't replace the flashcards, you can adapt and play some vocabulary games instead. But we have plenty of flashcard games to choose from, and flashcards are a really nice way to introduce new vocabulary. And they're especially important for the storytelling sessions, as you have seen. Okay, and drama games. These are the activities that you will use for introducing and practicing the final showcase. So to introduce the idea of drama and theatre, we have lots of games suggested. And you can use these to reduce your students' nerves, because once they've got rid of a bit of energy, they'll be more likely to focus on the scripts and the songs of the showcase. So those are the games pages. Then we have the crafts pages. You've been through crafts with Gwen already. So we have the different teaching styles, and then all of the instructions for the games, for the crafts. So you have a list of the materials that you need, and then the instructions on how to do it, and a photograph of what the final product should look like. Obviously, it doesn't need to look identical to that. It's just an idea, so you know what you're aiming for. And there are different craft activities for each day and for the different age groups. So make sure you're doing the right craft with your students, because otherwise they might find it too challenging. So if you try and do the seniors crafts with the kids and juniors, they will probably struggle. So there are the pages of the crafts. And then we have the pages on the whole camp activities that we went through yesterday. So I'm not going to go through those again, but all of the information you need for those activities is included here. After that, we have the storytelling pages. So you have the stories here with the keywords highlighted, so you know exactly what you're doing. And there are different stories for each age group. So we have the kids, the juniors, and the seniors. So make sure you're doing the story that is for your age group. Obviously, if you have a group of seniors whose English level is quite low, then you might want to do Lightyear instead of Spider-Man, because it might be more appropriate for their level, which is fine. It's up to you to decide. And this is where lesson planning comes in. You need to get to know your students so you know their ability and their preferences, so that you can choose and tailor these activities and games to the group you're working with. Again, more instructions for the storytelling, although you have already been through it and had some practice. Then we have the pages on the final showcase that I mentioned yesterday, so really important to read these. Then you have the scripts for the showcase, so make sure you go through those and choose the script that is best for your students. And then at the end, we have the accident report form. Hopefully you won't need to use it, but if you do, please make sure you fill this in and send it to us as soon as possible. There's also a copy for your camp director to fill in. So you fill in the English copy and your camp director will fill in the Italian one. We have a copy of the registers page, so you will have printouts of these, but just in case, it's also here in the tutor pack. And finally, the pages that I mentioned at the very beginning, the program posters. So these are the posters that the camp director and the parents have seen. And that is the end. It is a big document, I know, and it has a lot of information in it, but at this point you've been through most of the information either in debriefs or by reading it as your homework during training. The key pages that you need to look at are the daily plans for each day at camp. Obviously, the other information is super important, but when you are planning for your days at camp, you need to look at the daily plans. So, any questions at the moment before I go into a little bit more on lesson planning? Jenna.
Oh yeah. So, sorry, I think this has definitely been answered before, but how long in advance do we find out whether we have a seniors or a minis or a juniors, just so we can prepare?
So you will find out when you're at live training, in-person training, you will find out at the end of that. So
Okay.
as you finish the live training, we will allocate you to the group and to the camp, and we will let you know. So it'll be a few days before you start.
Okay, great, thank you.
No problem. So lesson planning, what is it all about? So as I said before, and as you can see in the tutor pack, the lesson plans are prepared for you. You have all of the games and the activities that you need and all of the instructions on how to do them. But you do need to do some planning. Planning and preparation is super important. And to help you in this, we have this little anagram, be smart. So let's go through it step by step. S is for structure. And I've used this word a lot already in classroom management and in lesson planning. We give structure to our lessons and to our days at camp in order to create a routine. It's reassuring for the students that we start with the same activity and we have the same break times and the same lunch time and the same finish time. And we have similar sessions throughout the day, even if there are different games and different activities. But having a clear structure to your lessons will increase their effectiveness and help you and your students to achieve the learning outcomes and also to minimize misbehavior. So structure is really important. As I mentioned before, structure is especially important at break times and lunch times when you've not got specific activities that you will be doing with your students. You still need to keep that structure so that you have your students all under control. M is for making objectives. So setting out clear goals and objectives for each lesson will help you to be more organized. So they don't need to be complex. They don't need to be... Oh, do we have a question? Oh, no. Okay, so we want to set out clear goals and objectives so that we know what we want to achieve during our time at camp. So it's not going to be something like expecting our students to memorize 100 new words or to be fluent by the end of the day. It's just thinking about, I want my students to participate. I want them to learn about likes and dislikes in English, simple things like this. And make your students aware of these objectives. Tell them what you're expecting them to learn from these sessions. This makes it easier for them to achieve. So just telling them, now we're going to learn about what we like and don't like. Job done. And hopefully by the end of the session, when you've played the games and done the activities, they'll be able to express something that they like and don't like in English. But make sure you set realistic goals and objectives based on your students' abilities. So as I said, don't expect them to be fluent by the end of the day, the end of the week, or even the end of the camp. You just want them to enjoy the experience, to be more confident, and to participate and engage with the activities. A is for alternatives. This is another word that I have mentioned again and again and again, but it is really important. Always have backup activities. It is essential that you have lots of backup activities in case something goes wrong or something happens that you didn't expect. Always plan more than you need. So although we have prepared activities and games that fill every minute of your time at camp, something might happen where you need an extra activity or a game. So you need to have these activities ready to use at any time. So that is part of your responsibility and your planning that you need to do. So choosing 3 to 5 games that you can use at any stage during the day is a really good idea. Also, because students have varying abilities, they're going to complete tasks at different speeds, so you should bear this in mind. You might have some students that always finish before the others, so you're going to need to have something that they can do to work on, or an activity they can do where they help the other students whilst the others finish. So you don't want any students sitting getting bored and not having anything to do. So always plan more than you need and have backup activities just in case. R is for rehearse. So practicing and preparing for an activity and focusing specifically on how you're going to introduce the activity or the game and the instructions that you need is really important. So you've already done some practice on introducing games and activities, but the more prepared you are, the more confident you will be in your delivery. So all the time when you're preparing for camp over the next week or so, start practicing how you would introduce a game or an activity. Think about the instructions, think about the gestures, the examples that you can give, and make them as clear and simple as you can. Make sure you know all of the materials that you might need for that game or activity, because as already explained in the game session, the hardest part with any activity is getting it started. You need to explain what you want the students to do and make sure that they understand that. And that is the most challenging part. Once they've understood and once the activity started, everything falls into place. So it's really important to rehearse and to practice the way that you're going to introduce games and activities with lots of energy and enthusiasm, also thinking about the specific instructions and steps that you need to get it started. So rehearse in front of the mirror, rehearse with your family and friends, rehearse with your fellow tutors when you're preparing for camp. The more practice that you have, the more confident you will be when you get into the classroom with your students. And finally, T is for timekeeping. Planning ensures that you make the best use of the time that you have. You have camp typically for 2 weeks, but sometimes you're only at camp for 1 week. And even 2 weeks isn't that long to be with a group of students. You want to make the most of the time. We're packing it full of games and activities, so try and get through as much of it as you can whilst working at your students' pace. Stick to the schedule within the lessons and all of the camp activities. So don't spend 3 hours on an activity that was meant to last for 1 hour. If the students are enjoying it, that's great, but don't let it take over your whole day. You want to stick to the structure and make sure you keep the day varied and engaging. Any questions about Be Smart? Okay, so they're mostly very straightforward points. And as I said, really the main planning that you need to do is becoming familiar with the games and activities that you're going to be doing each day. Sometimes you will have to tweak things and to change things based on the group that you're working with, but the main things are already provided for you and it's all there. The material is all there for you to use. So let's do a bit of practice planning. We're going to look at day 2 in the daily plans. Let's try day 2 with the seniors. And I want you to choose a session during the day and tell me how you would structure that day with your group. So let me get day 2 open and then we will go through how you would introduce one of the sessions. So you can choose any of the sessions that you want. It can be the camp challenge, or it can be the showcase session, the vocabulary session, or the classroom session, any of them that you want. Or even if you want to tell me how you would structure lunchtime, that would be great. So take a moment, choose one of the sessions, and then put your hand up when you're ready to tell me how you would introduce these activities. Kayla, if you want to go first.
Hi, yes. So I think I would do, for example, maybe snack time. I'd say 15 minutes, maybe not even that, for them to have their snacks. And like once I see that everyone is finished, so that they don't get bored and start like going off and doing something, I would say, okay, let's do outdoor games. So they're already outside, and I would already have like 2 or 3 games planned for that time because it's a total of 30 minutes. So that should be more than enough to fill the extra time.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone else want to give a suggestion of how they would introduce one of these sessions? Joel.
Hi, yeah. So I choose games. So first of all, to get everyone's attention, I would use an attention grabber, and what I would do is a little clap rhythm, so everybody knows that when Joel the tutor claps in a certain order, then everyone needs to be facing forward. Then from that, I'm just gonna break down the rules and try and get it as simply as possible. And depending on the age group, depends on how simply I try and make the rules, and then introduce the game rules, and then get into the game.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great example of how to introduce a game. Anyone else want to give a suggestion? Asher?
Hi. So I would do the Nevermore Academy one.
And I've got the tutor pack open in another tab. So for day 2, it's the opening the secret room. And I think that to introduce the activity, I would read the first part using the same method that we use for the storytelling. So I would say like Wednesday, and then do like a dramatic pause, is exploring the house and all of these things. I would, before we started the drawing dictation, I would try to get them to tell me some different room vocabulary. Like, what's a door? What's a chair? What's in your living room? Or whatever. And then we would start the drawing activity.
That's fantastic. Really, really good suggestions. Great way to introduce it, making it exciting from the very beginning. And then I love it getting them to practice the vocabulary that's related to it as well. That's a great idea. Fantastic. Okay, well done, everyone. So really good ideas. And this is exactly what you'll need to do when you are preparing for your days at camp. So go through each section of the day, each session that you'll be doing, and think about how you're going to prepare for it and how you're going to introduce the games and activities in that session, and how you're going to structure any break times as well. So we have had sessions on classroom management and sessions on lesson planning now. And both are very closely linked. So what did you find it was important to think about when planning? What do you think it's important to think about when you're planning and preparing for your lessons? Casey.
It's always important to have a backup plan and to make sure that you're coming up with a plan that allocates the time that you're given. So whether it's a 30-minute section or a couple-hour section, make sure that you've got something planned for every minute of that, whether they finish early or whether it goes late as well.
Absolutely. Jenna?
It kind of links to what Casey said, but remember that not everyone will see something the way that you see it. So you may be trying to explain something or wanting a game to go a certain way, and it just doesn't, and then think, obviously then a backup, but also think as well, would you find it interesting what you're trying to, you know, get children to do, and put yourself in their position and have fun yourself.
Absolutely, really good points. Sarah?
You need to think about the space. So certain games and activities might be better done at a table, like the likes of crafts, whereas things with a ball are better done outside. So you need to kind of know what you're going to do in the morning inside, what you're going to do outside, and just kind of plan ahead like that.
Absolutely. Daniela?
Setting realistic goals. So really understanding the level that your students are at, because if you set something that's way too difficult, it's going to be frustrating for you and for the students. Or if it's way too easy, they're not going to be engaged. They're not going to have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Anna?
The time it takes to do something. If you're spending 2 hours on something that should have been 40 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
Roisin?
the other way around.
Sorry, yeah, absolutely. It works both ways. That's true. Roisin?
Thinking about the different materials that you need for each activity and what you might need to have prepared material-wise in advance before you start the activity.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of these are really important things that we need to think about. So during lesson planning and classroom management, we've talked about lots of different things that you need to remember, but all of these are the things that you need to consider when you are planning and preparing for your lessons. So how can lesson planning help our classroom management? What do you think? How will lesson planning help us in the classroom? Anna?
Your lesson plan can help you with your minute by minute, and once you go through it, you can realize how long it takes to do something. For example, if you're planning an activity that is going to take a lot of cleaning up after, you don't want to do it right before lunch.
Yep, absolutely. Very good point. Sam?
It helps if you know what you're actually doing. Like if you have it planned, then it's easy to manage the children, and then you're not panicking because if something's not going well, you have backups and stuff.
Absolutely. It just gives you confidence, it makes you feel more relaxed, and it means that the day will go much more smoothly. And Kayla says when kids are constantly engaged, it leaves no room for misbehaving, which is another great point. So when the kids are engaged and your lesson plan is going well, then you won't get much misbehavior and you won't engage with these problems. So it is really important to plan your lessons and be prepared, because then you will feel much more confident and relaxed in the classroom and everything will go much more smoothly. So what does need to be planned? As we've seen in the daily plans, you have to plan and prepare for all of the classroom sessions. So whether that's a vocabulary session or an activity or a whole camp activity or a craft or anything else, they all still need to be planned and prepared by you. You have the instructions and the details, but you need to be prepared for it to put it into practice. Circle song time for the kids and juniors needs to be planned. You need to choose the songs and you need to know how you're going to introduce them and teach them to the students. Outdoor games and activities, so at snack time and at lunchtime, you need to make a structured plan for which games and activities you're going to do when the students have finished with snacks, lunch, or toilet breaks. Whole camp activities, again, need that bit extra preparation, so you need to think about them well in advance. So making sure you're prepared for any extra materials you need, or hiding treasure for treasure hunt activities, allocating stations for tutors to work at. These things all need to be planned and prepared well in advance. So my best recommendation is to make a to-do list for each day at camp. So when you're going through the daily plan, write a list of things that you need to remember. So whether it's a reminder that you need to send home to the parents, sending the register to Belle, or the missing materials list, whether you need flashcards that day, or writing the list of songs that you're going to do, any extra things that you need to remember, you can write them onto the tutor pack, or you can write them in a separate list in your phone, or take a piece of paper. Just make a list of all the things you need to remember. Any questions about the things that need to be planned and things that need to be remembered? Okay, great. So our final part of lesson planning is anticipating problems. We did a little bit of this in classroom management when we went through those scenarios of potential problems that you might face, but anticipating problems is a key part of lesson planning. It makes you feel more prepared when you do have to deal with issues in the classroom, and it will mean that you're more confident to deal with these things and you have steps that you can put into place and solutions. So the more things that you can anticipate that might go wrong or that might happen that you don't expect, the easier it will be to deal with these when it does happen. So let's have a look at some potential scenarios. So your planned activity doesn't work. For whatever reason, it's just not working. What would you do? Asher.
I would use one of the activities that I had planned as a backup. And if none of those are hitting the right chord with the kids, I would ask them, okay, what's interesting you? And try to base an activity around that.
Absolutely. So use a backup activity, try and find out why the students aren't engaging with the activity for whatever reason, and try and find something that they do want to engage with. Casey?
I would make a note on why this activity isn't working so that you can think about it for future activities as well. So if, for example, it's because it has too many steps, then in the future, when you're explaining a game, just use less steps so they understand it easier.
Absolutely. So write down anything that you need to bear in mind moving forward. So like you say, if it has too many steps and the students have struggled with that, or if it's a specific topic that they just don't want to engage with, make a note of it, even if it's just a mental note, so that you know for the future. Kayla?
Yes, so I've had situations where I've done an activity and, you know, like the first group of kids, they're really feeling it. And then the second group, like, they're just not feeling it. So what I usually have 2 or 3 activities planned. So then if I see the other one, they're not really into it, I'll just end the game early and then be like, oh, now we have a new game, and, you know, switch to something else. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very, very good. Okay, so next scenario, students don't complete an activity as quickly as you expected. Maybe you thought the students would take 10 minutes to do something, but instead after 15 minutes, they're still working on it. What would you do? Daniela.
I would first see if they needed help, or maybe there was a miscommunication, see if that was part of the problem. But I do know that it could be frustrating for them. They probably understand that they're not completing it in the time that they need to. So I would either offer assistance and let them, finish what they need to finish instead of rushing them through it. And then I can adapt with my next activity, maybe make that one a little bit shorter.
Yeah, absolutely. So find out what the problem is. So why are they not working through it as quickly as you expected? Maybe they're just taking their time and they're engaging with it. That's absolutely fine. Give them help if necessary. But if they're really engaged in an activity and they're still working through it, let them work at their own pace. It doesn't matter if you don't complete every game and every activity in the daily plan, as long as the students have engaged with the activities that you have done on a proper level. So it's much better that they engage with the activities and they're focused on them and they take their own time, rather than you rushing through everything and just trying to get through all of the things on the list, because then they won't have understood anything because you've rushed them and they haven't been able to follow it. Okay, perfect. So what about students complete the activity quicker than you expected? Sarah, how would you deal with this?
Well, we obviously have our backup activities, so I'd move on to the backup activity. So say if we were doing vocabulary and they finished like one game of that, just move on to another vocabulary one until it's time for the next activity.
Absolutely. Your best thing to do when you have students finished with nothing to do, backup activities. So you could elaborate on an activity you've just finished if you have some ideas based on that, or just use different games and activities to fill the time. What about lack of materials or resources? So maybe you're running low on paper for crafts, or you've lost your flashcards or something like this. How would you deal with a potential lack of materials or resources? Daniela.
Maybe depending on what the activity is, you could make groups. Or like have kids partner up with each other to complete something together. Or I think Gwen had an example of if you're missing flashcards, then you could cut paper, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have something missing, just adapt. Manage without as best you can. So grouping students together to use resources, replacing missing flashcards. And if you are missing any major materials, let us know. So if you've opened your material box and there's no paper, or you're missing, I don't know, 12 booklets that you need for your students, then tell us straight away. What about the weather? So as I said before, you'll probably be spending most of your time outside at camp, which is what we expect. So usually the weather in Italy in the summer is glorious sunshine and nice and dry. But what happens if it pours with rain? So for example, maybe you've got sports day planned and that's obviously got to be outside. What do you do if you look at the forecast and it's a thunderstorm with rain all day? How would you deal with that? Jessie.
You could probably see if there was still any activities you could do inside, so they still got to go forward with what was planned. But yeah, just once again, probably have a backup of a few maybe different activities they could still do inside.
Yeah, absolutely. So have a backup where you've got activities that you could do inside instead. Or if you look at the forecast and the day for sports day, so say that's Tuesday, maybe the forecast for Tuesday is terrible, but the forecast for Wednesday is fine. You could swap the main activity, the whole camp activity, on Tuesday with Wednesday. So do storytelling on Tuesday and sports day on Wednesday, which is fine. As long as the students get to do both and they're aware that they need to bring things for sports day on a different day, then that's absolutely fine. Amy, do you want to add to anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, see if there's like a hall or something where they can do the activity. So if it's sports day and it's like a whole group activity, just adapt it to the spaces because you want to get that in, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. So adapting to different venues is a key thing that you'll be needing to do. So adapting things for doing it outside, but also adapting things for doing them inside if you need to do that. So our key points, again, I'm just going to run through these. So they're the key points from classroom management and lesson planning collectively. Get to know your students. You want to get to know the pace that they work at, their abilities and their preferences, so what they like and don't like, and build a rapport with them, because it will make your job a lot easier if you have a good relationship with them. Stay calm, whatever happens. Do not panic. The more that you anticipate potential problems and issues, the easier it will be for you to stay calm and deal with things as they arise. Be patient. At the end of the day, we're working with children. They can go through 10 moods in 10 minutes, and they are going to get tired. We're expecting a lot from them. So be patient with them and support them and help them as best you can. Be prepared. The main point, in my opinion, you need to be prepared for the activities and games that you're doing, the structure of the day, any other things that you need to plan, and being prepared to adapt or improvise when necessary. So basically, classroom management and lesson planning is all about being prepared in advance and then putting these things into practice in the classroom. Clear and simple instructions go such a long way for making students understand a game and helping your lesson to flow smoothly. Using graded language, so language that's at the level of language learners, and using gestures and examples to help them to understand. Variation of activities on one hand, and repetition of language on the other. So keeping the activities varied and interesting, but repeating the language, so the instructions and the vocabulary, so that the students learn. Don't shout, don't get angry. Use the techniques that we discussed in classroom management to deal with any misbehavior. And finally, have fun. As I said before, these sessions are quite heavily based on theory, and they're not particularly exciting. It's a lot of me talking, but camp is a place of fun. We want the students to have a fun experience. We want you to have fun. So enthusiasm, energy, and fun are your main goals. Thank you for listening, everyone. Are there any final questions? Jenna.
Hello. So can we and are we expected to like take photos of activities that we're doing with the children, or like videos? Like, I'm not sure if we can photograph them or video them.
So you can definitely take pictures of work that they've done or of the students and send them to Belle if you want, unless you've been instructed by the staff at the school or by us not to take photos of them. But do not share any photos or images of them on social media and more with family and friends. But yeah, you can take pictures. I love to see pictures of the activities that the students have been doing, because obviously we're not at camp, so we don't get to experience that. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Roisin?
It's just kind of onto the weather question there. I know you're having like really, really hot weather in Italy at the minute. So like if it's a case that a day is really, really hot and it's probably not a good idea to bring the kids outside, will somebody in the camp, like will the camp director or somebody kind of make an announcement on that? Or should we make that call ourselves? Or just wondering.
It depends. I suppose the camp director might make the call themselves and say, today it's too hot, we don't want you working outside. If you feel that your students are really struggling and it's too hot to work outside, then obviously you don't want anybody getting dehydrated or sunburnt. So reminding everyone to keep drinking is really important, and keep drinking yourselves. But I suppose it's a personal call. If you feel it's too hot and they're struggling, then obviously you don't want them to be struggling outside in extreme heat, and you should move inside where it's cooler. The hottest time of the day around midday, try and stay in the shaded areas. Even if you are outside, shade is always better than being out in full sun, especially with little children.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, Anna?
This is a really odd one. But in some of the camps that I've done before, we've used like chalk and stuff on the ground to like mark out areas. Is that allowed?
I'm not sure about that. We don't provide you with chalk. The school might have chalk. If you have it to use, I would ask the camp director first, because it's their school, and they might not want you putting chalk all over the playground. if it's okay with them, I would say yes, but probably check with your supervisor at Bell first.
Grand. Yeah, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Daniela.
I have one that's very unrelated, but it just popped into my head. It was about the host family. Do you know if we'll be able to do laundry with them?
Yeah, so basically, yeah, 99 out of 100 host families will actually offer to do laundry for you. So yeah, but in case that doesn't happen, of course, you're there with them. You can politely ask, "Oh, can I use the washing machine?" And they will say yes for sure. Okay, so there's not.
Okay, thank you.
Casey?
Just a follow on from that question. If they do offer to do our laundry, is it rude to say no? Because I plan to just bring like enough underwear and socks. I probably won't need to do laundry.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay to say no, of course.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't want to be rude.
Absolutely. As long as there is clear communication and you're kind of sensible and polite about everything, nobody's gonna get offended. So it's fine. Absolutely.
I had another question, but it doesn't relate to this. So, a couple of days ago we had training and you mentioned the like drama program and it starts in like January. Who do we contact if we want to do that?
You can contact any of us at this stage. You can send us an email. We're gonna start posting for recruitment on the main acting website. So there's gonna be Star Now and Backstage very soon. So if you want to contact us about that, you can do so via email. You can send me an email actually, so I can reply to you directly. Is alessio@bellbeyond.com.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, as soon as I have all the information, all the details to give you, I'll send it to you definitely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just contact me via email. All right.
Kayla, do you have a question? Kayla?
I wanted to ask.
I'm not hearing you, Kayla. I'm sorry. Your connection's not coming through. Maybe she'll rejoin us.
Yeah, you can send us a WhatsApp, Kayla. If you have a question, just contact me, Gwen, via WhatsApp, and we'll reply right away. Okay.
Well, in the meantime, please download the slides that I'm going to upload from our lesson planning session just now, and also the tutor's guide with the problems and solutions that I mentioned before, if you didn't already download that. But thank you very much, everyone, for your attention today. And again, if you have any questions, you can send us a message on WhatsApp or email. My email is sophie@bellbeyond.com. But also, I will be in all of your WhatsApp groups, and we'll be speaking to you all at some point during camp as well. So thank you again, and get in touch with any questions because we're here to help.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you, Sophie.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Hello.
guys. This concludes our. Oh, Kayla.
Oh yes, my apologies. My
No,
connection was lost.
No problem.
As I'm like at work today for training, but so about the Facebook group, I think we were told to re-ask today about getting added to that if we weren't added. Is that okay?
Yes, fine. Everyone, sorry if I intervene because I managed with Sarah the Facebook group. Yes, of course. We let lots of people in yesterday. If you ask again, I'm connected, so I can let you in. Is it the same name?
So,
is it Kyla, your Facebook name, or is it a different name?
Yep, it's my name.
Yep,
And
perfect.
then if our
Sometimes we don't
text you my name or something.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So guys, this concludes our online training. Thank you so much for your commitment, for being part of this, and for being here and doing the work through these 5 days. I know it's been intense. I'm so much looking forward to meeting you all like in high definition, in real life in Florence. So I'll meet some of you in a few days' time and some others in just over a week. So looking forward to that. Thank you again. If you have any questions at any point, just contact us directly and we'll be glad to answer. So goodbye for now, and I'll see you very soon.
Bye. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.